The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness of space like a jewel made of crystal and steel. Inside its great halls, hundreds of alien species gathered for the most important meeting in the galaxy. The Galactic Council controlled everything, and today they would decide the fate of humanity. Ambassador Taimin walked through the tall corridors with steady steps. He was a man in his mid-40s with calm eyes that had seen war and peace. His dark suit was simple and clean. Behind him walked Hyunwoo, his bodyguard, a younger man who moved like a shadow. Hyunwoo's face showed nothing, but his eyes watched everything. The other aliens stared at them as they passed. Some whispered to each other. Others simply looked away. Humans were new to this place, and many here did not want them. Ji-won, a young woman who worked as Taimin's aide, hurried to catch up with them. She carried a data pad in her hands and worry in her eyes. "Sir, I've finished checking the security reports," she said quietly. "Something is wrong. 6 different council members have been moving their military ships around the station. This is not normal." Taimin nodded but did not stop walking. "I know. We expected this might happen." "Then why are we still going to the meeting?" Ji-won asked. "Because running away will not help us," Taimin said. "Earth needs a seat on this council. Our colonies need protection. If we leave now, they will say humans are afraid. They will say we are not ready." Hyunwoo said nothing, but his hand moved slightly closer to his side, where a small device was hidden under his jacket. They entered the main council chamber and Ji-won gasped. The room was enormous, with seats rising up in circles like a giant bowl. Thousands of aliens sat in those seats. Some looked like insects with hard shells and many eyes. Others looked like birds with bright feathers. Some were made of crystal that glowed with inner light. A few looked almost human, but with strange colors or extra arms. At the center of the room was a podium where speakers stood. Above it sat the High Chancellor, a creature called Vexthor. He looked like a giant lizard with dark green scales and cold yellow eyes. He stared down at Taimin with something that looked like hunger. "The human ambassador will approach." Vexthor's voice boomed through the chamber. Taimin walked to the podium. Hyunwoo followed and stood 3 steps behind him, hands at his sides, face blank. To everyone watching, he looked like a simple bodyguard, nothing more. "Ambassador Taimin of Earth," Vexthor began, "you come before this council seeking full membership for your species. But we have concerns. Your people have a history of violence. You fight wars among yourselves. You destroy your own planet with pollution and weapons. Why should we allow such a dangerous species into our peaceful organization?" Taimin took a slow breath. He had practiced his answer many times. "High Chancellor, it is true that humanity has made many mistakes. We have fought wars. We have hurt our own world. But we have also learned from these mistakes. We have worked hard to become better. We come here in peace hoping to join you and learn from the wisdom of older species." A sound like clicking laughter came from one section of the chamber. Senator Krill, a large insect-like creature with sharp claws, stood up. "Learned?
You humans still keep armies.
You still build weapons. Just last year, your colonies fought against rebels. You killed thousands of your own kind. We defended innocent people from those who wanted to hurt them." Taimin replied calmly. "Is it wrong to protect the helpless?" "It is wrong to solve every problem with violence," Krill shouted. Several other council members made sounds of agreement. The questions went on for hours. Each time Taimin answered with patience and respect. Each time they tried to make him angry, but he stayed calm. And all the while, Hyunwoo stood behind him, barely moving, barely breathing, just watching. What the aliens did not see was how Hyunwoo counted the guards in the room, how his eyes marked every exit and every weapon, how he noticed which council members looked nervous and which looked too confident. He had fought in wars that these soft politicians could not imagine. He knew the smell of a trap. Finally, as the Earth's sun would be setting back home, Vexthor raised one clawed hand. "Enough. We will take a break. Tomorrow we will hold a special session for the final decision about humanity. You are dismissed." Taimin bowed slightly and turned to leave. As he passed by a group of alien ambassadors, one of them, a large creature with 4 arms, deliberately stepped into his path. Taimin stopped. "Excuse me," Taimin said politely. The alien leaned down, its breath smelling like sulfur. "Your kind does not belong here, human. You should leave while you still can." For the first time, Hyunwoo moved. He took one single step forward. He did not say anything. He did not touch anyone. He just moved. But something changed in the air. Every predator species in that part of the room suddenly looked at Hyunwoo. Their instincts, buried deep in their ancient brains, screamed a warning. This human was dangerous. This human was a hunter. The four-armed alien stepped back quickly, its eyes wide. "Thank you for your concern," Taimin said pleasantly, as if nothing had happened. "Come, Hyunwoo. We should rest." They walked back to their assigned rooms in silence. Once inside, with the door locked and security systems active, Ji-won finally spoke. "They are planning something bad, are they not?" "Yes," Taemin said, sitting down heavily. "They plan to kill us tomorrow during the final session." Ji-won's face went pale. "Then we must leave. We can call for a ship and go back to Earth." "No," Taemin said firmly. "If we run, humanity loses everything. They will use our fear as proof that we are not ready. They will blockade our colonies. They might even attack Earth, but if we stay, we die," Ji-won said, her voice rising. Hyunwoo finally spoke, his voice quiet and cold like winter wind. "No, if they attack, they die." Taemin looked at his bodyguard and nodded. "Ji-won, I need you to take a ship tonight. Tell them it is a courier mission with urgent documents for Earth. Take all the evidence you have gathered about this conspiracy. If something happens to us tomorrow, make sure the truth gets out." "Sir, I cannot leave you," Ji-won protested, tears in her eyes. "You can and you will," Taemin said gently. "This is an order. Your life is too valuable to waste. You are brilliant, Ji-won. Earth will need people like you in the years to come." After Ji-won left, Taemin and Hyunwoo sat in silence for a long time. "How many do you think will come?" Taemin asked. "At least 20, Hyunwoo replied. "Maybe more. Can you handle that?" Hyunwoo looked at his ambassador, and for the first time he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf who sees sheep pretending to be wolves. "Sir, I have handled worse." Outside their window, the stars shone bright and cold. Somewhere out in that darkness, Captain Da-yoon waited in her stealth ship called the Silent Blade. She had her orders. She would not intervene unless the signal came. But if it came, the galaxy would learn that humanity had not come unprepared. Tomorrow would bring death to the council chamber. The aliens planned it. They prepared for it. They thought they knew exactly how it would happen. They were wrong. Night on the space station was artificial, just lights dimming in the hallways to pretend there was such a thing as darkness in space. Taemin could not sleep. He stood by the large window in his room, looking out at the stars and thinking about his home planet. Hyunwoo sat in a chair nearby, cleaning a small device that looked like a simple communicator. But it was not simple at all. It was a weapon, coded to his DNA, that could fire an energy blast strong enough to punch through armor. "Do you ever regret it?" Taemin asked suddenly. "The things you had to do in the war?" Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "Every single day, sir. But I do not regret protecting people. I do not regret standing between civilians and those who wanted to hurt them. I only regret that it was necessary." "They will call you a monster after tomorrow," Taemin said. "They called me a monster before," Hyunwoo replied. "It does not matter what they call me. It only matters what I actually am. And what are you?" Hyunwoo looked up at his ambassador. "I am whatever you need me to be, sir. A bodyguard, a soldier, a weapon. You point me in the right direction, and I will do what must be done." Before Taemin could respond, the lights in their room flickered once, then twice. Hyunwoo was on his feet instantly, his weapon in hand. "They are testing the power systems," he said quietly, "looking for weaknesses. They will come soon." Taemin activated his secure communicator. Far away, on Earth, military commanders would be receiving his final message. But there was something else he needed to do. He opened a special channel, one that connected directly to Captain Da-yoon on the Silent Blade. "Captain, this is Ambassador Taemin. Authentication code Alpha 79er. Da-yoon's voice came back immediately. "Authenticated, sir. We are ready. If you do not hear from us after the session tomorrow, you know what to do." "Sir, let me bring a strike team. We can extract you right now." "Negative, Captain. That would start a war. We have to do this the right way." "The right way might get you killed, sir." "Then I will die doing my duty," Taemin said. "But I do not think it will come to that. Humanity did not survive this long by being stupid. We have a plan." "What plan, sir?" Da-yoon asked, worry clear in her voice. Taemin looked at Hyunwoo. "We have Hyunwoo." There was a long pause. Then Da-yoon said quietly, "God help them." The channel closed. Taemin sat back down and tried to rest. He would need all his strength for tomorrow. Morning came too quickly. The artificial lights brightened slowly like a fake sunrise. Taemin dressed carefully in his best formal suit. Hyunwoo wore simple black clothing that allowed him to move easily. They ate a small breakfast in silence. As they prepared to leave, there was a soft knock at the door. Hyunwoo checked the security screen, then opened it carefully. Standing outside was a strange creature made of living crystal. Light moved through its body like water. "This was Ambassador Felma of the Luminar species. May I enter?" the crystal being asked. Its voice sounded like gentle music. Taemin nodded. Felma floated into the room. Luminars did not walk like other species. They simply moved through the air. "I come with a warning," Felma said. "My people cannot interfere directly in council politics. We made promises long ago to stay neutral, but I cannot stay silent when I see murder being planned." "You know about the attack?" Taemin asked. "Everyone knows," Felma said sadly, "but most pretend they do not. It is easier that way. The Krayler have bribed or threatened many council members. They plan to kill you during today's session. Then they will blame it on a security failure and use it as an excuse to punish Earth." "Why are you telling us this?" Hyunwoo asked, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Because it is wrong," Felma said simply. "My species may be neutral, but I am still a person. I can choose to warn you even if I cannot choose to help you. What you do with this warning is up to you." "How will they attack?" Taemin asked. "Soldiers will be hidden inside the chamber, cloaked, invisible to normal eyes. When the signal is given, they will appear and open fire. It is supposed to look like chaos, but it is carefully planned. They want you dead, Ambassador, and they want it to look like the Council could not protect you." "How many soldiers?" Hyunwoo asked. "At least 12 inside the chamber. More waiting outside. Maybe 50 total." Taemin and Hyunwoo looked at each other. 50 trained alien soldiers against one human bodyguard. The numbers were impossible. But Hyunwoo smiled again, that cold smile that made him look more dangerous than any alien monster. "Thank you for the warning," Taemin said to Felma. "Will you be safe? If they know you told us?" "They will not know," Felma said. "I am taking a great risk, but some things are worth the risk. I hope you survive, Ambassador. The galaxy needs more honest beings like you." The crystal creature floated out of the room, leaving them alone again. 50 soldiers, Taemin said. "That changes things." "No, sir," Hyunwoo said calmly. "It does not change anything. I knew there would be many. I am prepared. You cannot fight 50 soldiers alone." "Actually, sir, I can, but I will not be alone. Do you remember the 3 diplomatic aides we brought with us? The ones you sent to different parts of the station for various tasks?" Taemin's eyes widened with understanding. "They are not really aides, are they?" "No, sir, they are ghost team operators. The best of the best. They have been positioning themselves around the station for days. When I give the signal, they will seal all the exits. Nobody leaves. Nobody escapes. The conspirators will be trapped with us." "You planned this from the beginning," Taemin said, not sure if he should be impressed or worried. "Earth's military command planned it, sir. I just follow orders. We knew there might be an assassination attempt. We hoped there would not be, but we prepared for the worst. That is what humans do. We prepare." They left their room and walked toward the council chamber. The hallways were crowded with aliens heading to the same place. Everyone wanted to see the final decision about humanity. They had no idea they were about to see something very different. As they entered the great chamber, Taemin noticed certain aliens moving to specific seats far from the center. They knew. They were getting into safe positions before the attack started. High Chancellor Vexthor sat in his high seat, looking down at everyone with his cold yellow eyes. Senator Krill was there too, his insect face showing something that looked like excitement. Taemin walked to the center podium. Hyunwoo took his position 3 steps behind, hands relaxed at his sides. To everyone watching, he looked calm and ready. But inside, his mind was working like a computer, calculating angles, counting threats, planning every move he would need to make. Vexthor began to speak, his voice filling the chamber. "Today we will make our final decision about humanity. Ambassador Taemin, you have heard our concerns. Before we vote, do you have anything final to say?" Taemin stepped to the podium. He looked around at all the aliens staring at him, some with contempt, some with curiosity, a few with pity. "I only want to say this," Taemin began. "Whatever happens here today, know that humanity came in peace. We came with hope. We came believing in the dream of a united galaxy where all species work together, If that dream dies today, it will not be because of us. Vexthor smiled, showing sharp teeth. How noble. Senator Krill, do you wish to speak? Krill stood up, his hard shell gleaming under the lights. I do. I move that we reject humanity's application. Furthermore, I formally accuse the human species of genetic aggression and inherent barbarism. They are a danger to all civilized species and should be quarantined to their own system permanently. There were gasps from some of the council members. This was more than just rejection. This was a declaration that humanity was a threat. Does anyone second this motion? Vexthor asked, though his smile showed he already knew the answer. 5 different council members stood up to second it. Very well, Vexthor said. Then we must... He stopped. His eyes went to a small device on his armrest. A light blinked on it twice. That was the signal. The attack was about to begin. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. The council chamber was silent, waiting. Then the air itself seemed to tear apart. 12 Krayler soldiers materialized around the chamber floor. Their cloaking devices deactivated with a shimmer of light. Each one wore heavy armor and carried an energy rifle that hummed with power. They surrounded the podium where Taemin stood. The aliens in the seats screamed. Some tried to run, but the doors had already sealed shut. Several council members who knew about the attack moved quickly to reinforced sections of their seats. They had planned their escape while condemning others to die. The main display screen flickered to life. A huge Krayler appeared on it, his face scarred from many battles. This was War Master Thexel, commander of the Krayler military fleet. Beings of the Galactic Council, his voice boomed. Today you witness justice. The human threat ends here. Let this be a lesson to all species who think they can challenge the natural order of power. The 12 soldiers raised their weapons, energy coils charged with a high-pitched whine. They aimed at Taemin. Ambassador Taemin did not run. He did not scream. He did not even flinch. He simply looked at Hyunwoo and said one word. Hyunwoo? What happened next took only seconds, but to those watching it seemed to last forever. Hyunwoo moved. He did not move like a frightened man trying to hide. He did not move like a bodyguard trying to shield his charge. He moved like water flowing downhill, like lightning finding the ground, like death itself given human form. The closest Krayler soldier never even saw him coming. One moment Hyunwoo was 3 steps away. The next moment his hand was on the soldier's neck. There was a sharp crack like a tree branch breaking. The soldier's armored collar, designed to protect against energy weapons and blades, shattered from the force of Hyunwoo's grip. The soldier fell dead before his finger could touch the trigger. 2 seconds had passed. Hyunwoo caught the falling energy rifle, spun, and fired twice. 2 more Krayler soldiers dropped, holes burned through their helmet visors. Their own weapons had killed them, in the hands of a human who moved too fast to track. The remaining 9 soldiers opened fire. Energy bolts filled the air, bright and deadly. But Hyunwoo was not where they aimed. He had already moved again, using the fallen bodies as cover, rolling between shots that would have vaporized a normal person. He came up behind a 4th soldier and drove his elbow into the weak point where the alien's helmet met its armor. Another crack. Another body falling, 5 seconds total. The aliens in the seats watched in horror. This was not how it was supposed to happen. The human was supposed to die quickly. This was supposed to be easy. But nothing about Hyunwoo was easy. A Krayler soldier got smart and tried to grab Ambassador Taemin as a hostage. But Taemin was no longer at the podium. He had moved to the side, pulling out a small recording device. His hands were steady as he pointed it at everything happening. For the official record, Taemin said clearly into the recorder, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. This attack was unprovoked and premeditated. The council will note that my security officer has harmed no council members, only those who raised weapons first. Another soldier charged at Hyunwoo with a vibroblade, a weapon that could cut through steel. Hyunwoo stepped inside the alien's reach, grabbed its arm and used the creature's own momentum to flip it over. The soldier crashed into one of its companions. Both went down in a tangle of limbs and armor. Before they could stand, Hyunwoo fired the energy rifle twice more. The weapon clicked empty. He tossed it aside and grabbed the vibroblade from the fallen soldier's hand. 10 seconds. 3 soldiers tried to surround him. They thought numbers would win. They were wrong. Hyunwoo moved between them like a dancer, the vibroblade flashing. He knew exactly where to strike on each different alien species. The Krayler had thick scales on their chest but thin armor at their joints. The blade found those joints with surgical precision. The chamber's emergency doors tried to open as more soldiers attempted to enter from outside. But they would not move. Something was blocking them. Someone had sealed the entire chamber from the outside. On the display screen, War Master Thexel's confident smile began to fade. "Report, why are they not dead yet? Send more soldiers." "Sir, the doors are sealed." "We cannot get in."
Then override them.
"We are trying, sir, but something is blocking all our systems." Somewhere on the far side of the station, a young human woman who looked like a simple clerk smiled as her fingers flew over a control panel. She was one of the 3 Ghost Team operators. She had just locked down every entrance to the council chamber. Nobody was getting in. Nobody was getting out. Back in the chamber, only 4 Krayler soldiers remained standing. They had stopped trying to shoot. Their weapons were useless against a target that moved like smoke. Instead, they tried to coordinate, to attack together. Hyunwoo stood in the center of the floor, breathing calmly, the vibroblade held loosely in one hand. Blood stained his clothes, but none of it was his. He looked at the 4 remaining soldiers, and then he smiled. It was that same cold smile, the smile that said he was enjoying this, that he had done this 1,000 times before, that 4 soldiers were nothing compared to what he had faced in his past. The soldiers hesitated. Fear crept into their movements. They had been told humans were weak. They had been told this would be easy. Everything they had been told was a lie. "Surrender," Hyunwoo said quietly. "You cannot win. You could not win from the beginning." This was always going to end one way. One of the soldiers, braver or more foolish than the others, charged with a roar. Hyunwoo sidestepped, kicked the alien's knee backward and struck with the blade as it fell. The soldier hit the ground and did not move again. The last 3 dropped their weapons. Their hands went up in surrender. 15 seconds total since the attack began. 12 trained soldiers, 8 dead, 1 unconscious, 3 surrendering. The aliens in the council seats sat in stunned silence. Some were crying. Some were praying in their various religions. All of them stared at Hyunwoo with new understanding. This was not a bodyguard. This was something else entirely. High Chancellor Vexthor, safe in his reinforced seat, looked down at the carnage with wide eyes. He had moved to his protected position 3 seconds before the attack began. Everyone had seen it. His involvement was obvious now. On the display screen, War Master Thexel was screaming orders. "Attack the station. Destroy it. Kill everyone. Leave no witnesses." The Krayler fleet in orbit began powering up weapons. They were going to blast the entire station into dust rather than let this failure become public. But they had forgotten something. They had forgotten Captain Da-Yun and the Silent Blade. Far above the station, invisible to normal sensors, 5 human stealth ships decloaked simultaneously. They had been there for days, watching, waiting, their weapons locked onto every Krayler vessel. Captain Da-Yun's voice transmitted on all frequencies, calm and professional. "Attention, Krayler fleet. This is Captain Da-Yun of the Terran Diplomatic Protection Force. You will power down all weapons immediately and submit to Galactic Council security. Any hostile action will result in your immediate destruction. This is your only warning. You cannot threaten us." Thexel screamed. "We outnumber you 20 to 1. "Numbers are not everything," Da-Yun replied. "Ask your soldiers in the council chamber." "Oh wait, you cannot. Most of them are dead." On the tactical displays, the Krayler commanders watched in horror as their faster-than-light drives suddenly went offline. Some kind of quantum pulse had disabled them. They could not escape. They were trapped. "How?" Thexel whispered. "How did you know?" "We always knew," Da-Yun said simply. "Did you really think Earth would send our best diplomat into danger without preparation? Did you think we would be that stupid? We are human. We have fought wars for thousands of years. We know every trick. We invented half of them." Inside the council chamber, Hyunwoo walked over to Ambassador Taemin. His clothes were torn and bloody, but he stood straight and calm. He had not even broken a sweat. "The area is secure, sir," he reported formally, as if he had just checked the doors instead of killing 8 soldiers in 15 seconds. "Thank you, Hyunwoo," Taemin replied. He turned to face the council seats where hundreds of aliens sat frozen in fear and shock. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Taemin said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber. "What you have just witnessed was a coordinated assassination attempt against a diplomatic delegation. This violates every law and treaty that this council claims to uphold. He held up his recording device. I have documented everything. You will note that my security officer showed perfect restraint. Not a single council member was harmed. Only those who attacked first were neutralized. The doors were sealed to prevent the conspirators from escaping, not to trap innocents. Taemin pointed at High Chancellor Vexthor. You moved to your protected seat exactly 3 seconds before the attack began. You knew. You were part of this. Vexthor opened his mouth to deny it, but no words came out. The evidence was too clear. Ambassador Felma, the crystal luminar, rose from her seat. Light pulsed through her body, a sign of deep emotion in her species. As the highest-ranking council member not involved in this conspiracy, I call for an immediate emergency tribunal. The vote passed. Humanity was now a full member of the Galactic Council. Taemin accepted with dignity, but he could see the truth in the eyes watching him. They had not accepted humanity because they wanted to. They accepted humanity because they were afraid not to. That night, after all the ceremonies and formal procedures were complete, Taemin stood alone in his quarters, looking out at the stars. His door opened quietly. It was Jiwon. Sir, the media from 40 different species wants interviews, and we have received diplomatic requests from 23 governments. They all want to establish formal relations with Earth, because they fear us now, Taemin said sadly. Is that so bad? Jiwon asked. Fear can be the beginning of respect, or it can be the beginning of more conspiracies, Taemin replied. Humans have a saying, it is lonely at the top. We wanted to be equals. Instead, we have become something they fear. Jiwon sat down, suddenly looking very young and very tired. Did we make a mistake? Should we have walked away? No, Taemin said firmly. We did the right thing, but it will take time for the galaxy to understand that we are not monsters. We must be patient. We must be fair. We must prove through our actions that we deserve trust, not just fear. There was a knock on the door. Hyunwoo entered, now wearing clean clothes. He had finally changed out of his blood-stained uniform. Sir, you should see this, he said, holding up a datapad. The screen showed news broadcasts from across the galaxy. The images were all the same. Hyunwoo fighting the Krayler soldiers. His movements had been captured by dozens of recording devices. Now billions of beings were watching a single human defeat 12 trained warriors in 15 seconds. Some broadcasts called him a hero. Others called him a monster. Many simply called him the human weapon. They are afraid of you, Taemin said. I know, Hyunwoo replied quietly. I have seen that look before. After every battle, people look at me like I am not quite human anymore. Like I am something dangerous that they are grateful exists but wish they did not need. Does it bother you? Hyunwoo was silent for a long moment. Yes, but I understand it. I am dangerous. I have been trained to be dangerous. That training has saved lives, including yours, so I cannot regret it. But sometimes I wonder what I might have been if I had grown up in a time of peace instead of war. Ji-won looked at him with sudden understanding. You never had a choice, did you? You were drafted young during the colonial wars. I was 17, Hyunwoo confirmed. My colony was attacked. I watched my parents die. I joined the military to protect what was left of my home. The war lasted 12 years. By the time it ended, I did not know how to be anything except a soldier. But the war has been over for 5 years, Ji-won said. Wars end, Hyunwoo replied. Warriors do not. We just find new battles to fight. This assignment, protecting the ambassador, it gives me purpose. It lets me use my skills to build peace instead of just killing enemies. That matters to me. Taemin put a hand on his bodyguard's shoulder. You are more than your training, Hyunwoo. Never forget that. You chose to show restraint today. You chose to only kill those who attacked first. You chose to protect rather than destroy. Those choices define you more than your skills. Before Hyunwoo could respond, Captain Daeun's face appeared on the communication screen. Sir, we have a situation developing. The Krayler fleet is asking for terms of surrender. War Master Thexel wants to negotiate personally with you. Interesting, Taemin said. What does he want? He is offering full intelligence on other conspiracies within the council. Names, plans, everything. In exchange, he wants a fair trial instead of immediate execution. Taemin thought about it. Tell him I will consider his offer. But first I want to speak with Ambassador Felma. We need to handle this properly through council procedures. The next day, Taemin met with Felma in a private conference room, the crystal being floated peacefully, her inner light calm and steady. You surprised everyone yesterday, she said. Many species expected you to demand vengeance. Instead, you called for justice and unity. Vengeance would feel good for a moment, Taman replied. Justice will last forever, and humanity needs the Council to actually work. We are not strong enough to stand alone against a hostile galaxy. You seemed pretty strong yesterday, Felma observed. One battle does not make us invincible, Taman said. We won because we were prepared and because Hyunwoo is exceptional. But if the entire galaxy turned against us, Earth would fall. We need allies. We need laws that apply equally to everyone. We need the Council to be what it claims to be. That is a worthy goal, Felma said, and one I share. My species will support you in your efforts to reform the Council, but you should know there are many who will resist change. The old powers like things the way they are. Let them resist, Taemin said with a slight smile. Humans are stubborn. We do not give up easily. Over the following months, Taemin worked to reshape the Galactic Council from within. He proposed new oversight systems to prevent future conspiracies. He pushed for equal treatment of all member species regardless of age or power. He fought against corruption wherever he found it and always. Hyunwoo stood behind him, silent, watchful, a constant reminder that humanity would not be pushed around again. Jiwon became the head of human intelligence operations, building a network of contacts across dozens of species. She quietly prevented 3 more assassination attempts before they could develop into real threats. Her work was invisible but essential. Captain Da-un and her fleet patrolled the border regions, showing the flag and making it clear that human space was protected. She began training joint exercises with other species, building relationships and trust through shared experiences. War Master Thexel was tried and convicted, but his punishment was exile rather than execution. Taemin had argued that mercy would be more powerful than vengeance. The Kraler Empire, humbled but not destroyed, slowly began reforms under Council supervision. 6 months after the attack, Taemin stood before the Council to deliver a routine report. The atmosphere was completely different now. When he spoke, beings listened. When he made proposals, they were seriously considered. Fear had slowly transformed into cautious respect. After the session, a young alien approached nervously. She was from the Mirren species, small and feline-like with soft fur and large eyes. Her translator device let her speak human languages. Ambassador Taemin, she said quietly. May I ask you something? Of course, Taemin replied gently. Is it true that your species almost destroyed itself with nuclear weapons? That you came very close to extinction? Yes, it is true. During what we call the Cold War, we built enough weapons to destroy our world many times over. We came very close to using them. But you chose not to, the young Mirren said. You chose peace instead. We did. It was not an easy choice. It took decades of work, of building trust, of learning to see our enemies as people instead of monsters. But we made that choice and it saved us. The young Mirren looked past Taemin to where Hyunwoo stood. And him? They say he has killed many beings. Is he a monster? Hyunwoo knelt down to be at eye level with the small alien. When he spoke, his voice was soft and kind. I have done terrible things to protect my people, he said honestly. I carry those memories every day. But I would rather never fight again. Peace is harder than war. Peace requires patience and understanding and compromise. But peace is what I truly fight for. The young Mirren studied him for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She reached out and touched his hand gently, a gesture of trust in her culture. Thank you for protecting the ambassador, she said, and thank you for choosing to be gentle now, even though you could choose to be terrible. She scurried away, leaving Hyunwoo staring at his hand where she had touched it. For the first time in years, someone had touched him without fear. Jiwon watched the exchange with a smile. See? Not everyone is afraid of you. One small alien, Hyunwoo said, but there was something in his voice. Hope, perhaps, or relief. 1 year after the attack, the Galactic Council held its annual assembly. Ambassador Taemin delivered his report on human integration. The statistics were impressive. Human medical technology had been shared with 40 species. Human defensive training had improved security for a dozen younger civilizations. Human diplomatic efforts had resolved 3 border disputes peacefully. When he finished, something unprecedented happened. The council members applauded. Not all of them, but many. Real appreciation, not just polite acknowledgement. After the session, Taemin, Hyunwoo, and Jiwon walked through the station together. They passed aliens who nodded respectfully. Some even smiled. "We did it," G1 said quietly. "They actually respect us now." "Some do," Taemin corrected. "Others still fear us. A few still hate us. But we have made progress. That is what matters. What happens now?" Hyun-woo asked. "Now we keep working," Taemin said. "We keep proving through our actions that humanity deserves to be here. We keep building trust. We keep choosing peace even when war would be easier. That is our path forward." They reached a viewing window that looked out onto the stars. Earth was visible in the distance, a small blue marble in the vast darkness. "Do you think they understand back home what we accomplished here?" The emergency tribunal began 6 hours later. In that time, the entire galaxy had learned what happened. News traveled through quantum communication networks at faster than light speed. Every species with access to galactic broadcasts watched in shock as the recordings played over and over. A single human bodyguard had defeated 12 trained soldiers in 15 seconds. The human ambassador had remained calm during an assassination attempt. The human fleet had trapped an entire Krayler armada without firing a shot. Humanity had known about the conspiracy from the beginning and prepared for it. The council chamber had been cleaned, but everyone could still smell the scent of burned metal and blood in the air. The seats were full again, but the mood was completely different now. Fear had replaced contempt. Respect had replaced mockery. Ambassador Thelma stood at the center podium, her crystal body glowing with authority. As a Luminar, she could not lie. Her species had evolved without the ability for deception. Every word she spoke would be accepted as truth. "This tribunal will now begin," she said, her musical voice ringing through the chamber. "The charges are serious. Conspiracy to commit murder, violation of sacred diplomatic immunity, abuse of council authority. The evidence will be presented by neutral parties." She gestured and Ji-won entered the chamber. The young woman looked tired but determined. She carried several data storage devices that contained weeks of investigation. "This is Ji-won, aide to Ambassador Taemin," Thelma announced. "She will present the intelligence evidence." Ji-won approached a display console and activated it. Holographic images appeared in the air above the council floor. Communication logs, financial transfers, ship movement records, meeting schedules. Everything she had collected, all organized and clear. "For the past 3 weeks, I have been tracking unusual patterns in council member communications," Ji-won began. Her voice was steady despite speaking in front of thousands of aliens. 6 council members made secret contact with Krayler military commanders. They discussed plans to kill the human delegation and frame it as a security failure. She showed the communication logs. The words were right there for everyone to see. Plans for the attack, discussions about how to cover it up afterward, arguments about payment and political favors. Furthermore, Ji-won continued, the Krayler fleet had orders to destroy the entire station if the assassination succeeded. They planned to kill everyone here, not just the humans. Every council member, every aide, every worker on this station was going to die to hide their crime. A wave of shocked whispers ran through the chamber. Many of the council members had thought they were safe. Now they realized they had been just as much victims as targets. High Chancellor Vexthor tried to stand and speak, but Thelma's voice cut through the noise. "You will have your chance to defend yourself, Vexthor, after all evidence is presented." Next, Captain Da-yoon appeared on the main display screen, transmitted from the Silent Blade. "I am Captain Da-yoon, commander of the Terran Diplomatic Protection Force," she said formally. "I will present the military evidence." She showed tactical logs from the Silent Blade and the other stealth ships. They had been in the system for 5 days before the assassination attempt, monitoring Krayler fleet movements. They had intercepted battle plans. They had tracked troop deployments. The Krayler had positioned assault teams at 17 different points around the station. Da-yoon explained. If their attack in the council chamber had succeeded, these teams would have killed every human on the station within minutes. Then they would have destroyed the station itself with plasma torpedoes. She showed the weapons readouts. The Krayler fleet had been fully armed and ready. This was not a small conspiracy. This was a planned act of war disguised as an accident. Earth's government received intelligence about this plot 2 weeks ago. Da-yoon continued. We informed Ambassador Taemin. He chose to come anyway, knowing the danger, because he believed peace was worth the risk. We prepared quietly, hoping the attack would not happen, but we were ready if it did. Then it was Hyun-woo's turn to speak. He walked to the podium, still wearing his torn and blood-stained clothes. He had refused to change them. Let the council see what their conspiracy had created. State your name and position, Velma said gently. Hyun-woo, security specialist assigned to protect Ambassador Taemin. Can you describe what happened during the attack? Hyun-woo's voice was flat and emotionless, like he was reading a technical manual. 12 hostiles appeared from cloaked positions at 14:23 station time. They surrounded the podium with intent to kill Ambassador Taemin. I neutralized the threat using standard combat protocols. 8 hostiles were killed. 1 was rendered unconscious. 3 surrendered. Total engagement time was 15 seconds. He said it so calmly, so simply, that it took a moment for the council members to understand what they were hearing. 15 seconds. 12 trained soldiers. He described it the way someone might describe making breakfast. Did you show restraint? Velma asked. Yes, I only engaged hostile targets. No council members were harmed. No bystanders were injured. I used the minimum force necessary to protect my principal and end the threat. Can you explain your background? Why were you chosen for this assignment? Hyun-woo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, there was something in his voice that made the chamber fall completely silent. I'm a veteran of the colonial wars. I fought for 12 years protecting human settlements from those who wanted to destroy them. I was at the Battle of New Seoul, where I held a medical station against 200 attackers for 14 hours until reinforcements arrived. I have been trained in 17 combat systems and 6 assassination techniques. I have killed 437 beings in combat. I was chosen for this assignment because Earth's government knew an attack was possible and wanted the very best protection for Ambassador Taemin. The number hung in the air. 437. The aliens looked at this quiet human with new horror. He was not just a soldier. He was a professional killer, refined and perfected over years of brutal war. And yet you showed restraint today, Velma said softly. You could have killed everyone in this chamber. Yes, Hyun-woo agreed. But that was not my mission. My mission was to protect the ambassador and prove that humanity follows the law even when others do not. Mission accomplished. He stepped down from the podium and returned to his position behind Taemin. The 2 humans stood together calm and composed while the galaxy watched. High Chancellor Vexthor finally got his chance to speak. He stood in his seat, his scales gleaming under the lights. These accusations are lies, he shouted. I knew nothing about any attack. The Krayler acted on their own. I am the victim here, not the criminal. Velma's crystal body pulsed with light. As a Luminar, she could sense deception. It was not magic or technology, just an evolutionary trait. Her species had learned to read the subtle energy patterns that lying created. You are lying, she said simply. I can feel it. Everyone here can see the evidence. You moved to your protected seat before the attack began. You received the signal on your console. You were part of this from the beginning. Vexthor's face twisted with rage and fear. You cannot prove. We have your communications, G1 interrupted, projecting another holographic display. You discussed the attack with War Master Thexel 9 times in the past month. You promised to look the other way if he made the human problem disappear. You are guilty, Chancellor. The evidence is absolute. One by one, the other conspirators were exposed. Senator Krill had provided intelligence about human security procedures. 4 other council members had moved their own military ships into position to support the Krayler. 2 more had arranged for the station's security systems to malfunction at the right moment. All 17 conspirators sat in their seats, knowing their careers were over, knowing they faced punishment. Some looked defiant. Others looked terrified. A few simply looked broken. Ambassador Velma called for the vote. All those in favor of finding the accused guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and violation of diplomatic immunity? Hundreds of hands, claws, tentacles, and other appendages rose into the air. The vote was nearly unanimous. Only a few abstained, and those were species closely allied with the Krayler. The verdict is guilty, Velma announced. Sentencing will proceed as follows. High Chancellor Vexthor is removed from office immediately and stripped of all honors. The 17 conspirators are expelled from the Galactic Council, and their species will face sanctions. The Krayler Empire will be placed under Council military oversight, and their war fleet will be dismantled. She paused, then looked at Taemin. War Master Thexel and his command staff are remanded to human custody for attempted murder of a diplomatic delegation. There were gasps at this. Giving the Krayler commander to the humans was essentially a death sentence. Everyone assumed humanity would execute him. Now, Felma said, we must address the question of humanity's membership application. Ambassador Taemin, please approach. Taemin walked to the podium. He looked tired but unbowed. Hyunwoo stayed close behind him. A silent shadow that everyone now understood was the most dangerous being in the room. Ambassador Taemin, Felma said, you came here seeking membership in the Galactic Council.